We are proud to honor our B. Kenneth West, our 2018 B. Kenneth West Lifetime Achievement Award recipient, Larry Cunningham. Here to present the award to Larry, we have a very special guest who is joining us virtually all the way from Omaha.
I would like to say a few words about Ken West. He not only symbolizes what is right in a corporate fiduciary in every way in his life. He was just an outstanding person. The NACD has made the perfect choice in selecting Larry Cunningham for its Lifetime Achievement Award. Larry knows a lot about directors, how they should behave and how they truly behave. He's been a champion for directors who are working for the shareholders in a really intelligent manner rather than just checking boxes. He's been articulate in explaining his views. He's been persistent in not getting into some current trend. I just hope he keeps working like he's been doing for the next many decades. So I commend you not only in selecting Larry this year, but I really commend you in naming the award after really an outstanding human being. Thanks.
Larry is one of the few people that I know who has such a deep academic understanding of governance. He's written a lot, he teaches it, but he also practices it. And that's pretty unusual.
I think he has been working for so long in so many different ways, studying the fields of corporate governance, of playing a role in it, of being an activist, of also being a scholar, that he has touched almost every base that one can touch.
Larry really is the leading voice out there that helps people understand the responsibilities and the complexities to do the job well.
So we embarked on a director's search. We were very interested in people who wrote about high-performance conglomerates, and one of them obviously was Berkshire. As we studied the company, Larry's name popped up because he's written a couple of books about them. So we decided to have him duplicate the study that he did for Berkshire and basically assess the culture of Constellation. The enthusiasm with which the results were received was great. And so I think it's opened up a line of conversation around culture, values, beliefs that probably didn't happen a whole lot before. We get way more of his good thinking hours than we probably deserve for what we pay him. You know, we are part of his work. We are part of his life. We're part of his passion.
One of the things I really admire about the way Larry has approached his work is that he understands the nuances and complexities of what's involved in being a first-rate director.
Larry is a problem solver. He's an institution builder.
His knowledge of corporate governance as an intellectual pursuit is something that he brought to bear on our faculty at Boston College. My relations with the faculty at BC, when I arrived, they needed some adjusting. I had an agenda that was different from the agenda the faculty wanted me to follow. Larry knew what made people tick and what would succeed. He just had the most wonderful diplomatic skills. It's just so nice to work with somebody who has a smile on his face and can make you laugh, especially when you're doing difficult things, you know.
Larry worked with me on a book that I was writing called The AIG Story. The book was something that I lived through, and he put himself in my shoes, so to speak. The longer I worked with him, the more impressed I was with his candor and his perception. Larry is a special individual, and he's certainly a first-class writer.
He's a unique voice out there in the landscape these days.
And nobody understands the system better than Larry does. So when he talks about calling the system to account to its highest standards. They're real standards. They're standards that will allow the capital markets and financial markets to do well and to do good, to function properly and to function with integrity. The signature accomplishment of Larry's has got to be his absolutely instrumental role in creating George Washington Law School in New York.
Students come from Washington, from the Washington campus, go to New York, and they have an opportunity to work with securities lawyers and see what they do. He is helping develop students in a way that as they practice law, they will be able to have some good insights into their role as a counselor to boards or eventually as a board member.
I was looking for someone who would be, in addition to being a high-powered scholar, somebody who would be a good institutional citizen. That's not always an easy thing to do, but once I met Larry, I knew he was my guy. It's a unique opportunity in many ways to think about how can we make the system function better, more efficiently, more fairly, more transparently.
He's a genuinely nice guy. He wants you to succeed.
I'm so pleased that he's gotten this award.
When I heard about it, I gave him a hard time and said, "A lifetime award? You're way too young to get a lifetime award."
There aren't many like him, and he stands out, and I'm glad he's being recognized.
He's not done by a long shot. The things he'll be writing and working on in 5 years and in 10 years will be quite different from the things he's working on now. It's just possible his best work is yet ahead of him.
NACD 2018 B. Kenneth West Lifetime Achievement Award recipient, Lawrence A. Cunningham.
The other thing that Mark Leonard said when I told him I was getting this award, besides that I was too young, was, why don't you ask him for a bloody good decade award? But I don't think you're going to give that one out, so I know NACD well. I've known it for a long time, and I know the powerful positive impact it has had on corporate governance. So despite Mark's advice, I accept the award. Thanks are due to many people. The NACD itself for professionalizing board service and training good stewards of shareholder capital, dating way back to its founders in the 1970s, including a great friend of mine, still going strong at 98 years old, a man who my kids call Uncle Pete. Some of you in the room may know him. He's a hero in corporate governance, Pete Scotese. Mentors from my early career advising corporate boards from the law firm of Cravath, Swain and Moore, especially mentors Sam Butler and the late George Gillespie. Supporters from my initial days in corporate governance leadership back in the 90s, including the namesakes of the governance center that I ran, Sam and Ronnie Heyman, as well as Bob Denham, Ira Milstein, Monroe Price, and the late Frank Macchiarola. Collaborators, especially Warren Buffett, who in 1995 helped me publish what is now a classic, the Essays of Warren Buffett, Lessons for Corporate America. And Hank Greenberg, who later asked me to co-author his spectacular corporate biography, The AIG Story. Great editors who've made me look good in print, especially Jim Christie, and NACD's very own Judy Warner. I've had great bosses like two you heard from, John Garvey and Fred Lawrence, and others like Roger Fairfax and Blake Morant. I've had amazing students, some of whom are here tonight, and great colleagues, especially those who have helped me build the GW corporate program here in New York, Paul Basta, Wendy Goldberg, Jeff Cohn, Anna Pinedo, and fellow directors who encourage me to go the extra mile, to add value beyond what's expected, including all my colleagues on the Constellation Software Board, as well as Charles Elson, Cindy Glassman, who is here tonight, and thanks, Cindy, for that great video contribution, shareholder friends who helped me keep their perspective in mind in the boardroom, especially Jack Bogle, Tom Gaynor, Sandy Gottesman, John Petrie, Tom Russo, Ann Yeager, plus many others at great firms from Acre Capital to Ruane Cunniff. But above all, thanks to my wife, Stephanie Cuba, here tonight, a very talented business executive, director, and writer as well. We recently wrote a book about Buffett's Berkshire shareholders with a message on governance I'd like to share. How to attract and retain long-term committed owners. This is a top concern I hear from CEOs and fellow directors across corporate America. With rising index investing and shrinking holding periods, plus widespread activism, is the committed long-term shareholder an endangered species? What does it mean for governance when average holding periods are less than 1 year? What it means is a majority of votes in annual elections are cast by shareholders who won't be shareholders for the rest of the director's term. Our research provides insights to address this problem. First, Berkshire's shareholder base is the most patient and committed in corporate America. They have far longer holding periods and far higher levels of concentration than any other company. And this is not an accident. It was a conscious goal Warren set for himself beginning in the 70s, and he achieved it through sustained policies that appeal only to long-term committed shareholders. Second, a number of other companies have adapted similar policies and attracted similar very high-quality shareholders. Besides having a strong economic franchise, the key policies are capital allocation that is clearly explained and updated annually, no quarterly guidance, and limited stock option pay. Other tools vary by company, but include not splitting the stock, substantial inside ownership, and innovations like tenured voting, giving more votes to longer held shares. I think if more companies adopt policies that appeal to long-term committed shareholders, that cohort will grow and prosper and carry weight as strong as the indexers, the activists, or the transients. And I'm eager to do my part, which leads to what this award means to me personally. For me, the B. Kenneth West Award recognizes the practical value of my efforts to learn and teach about corporate governance and then to practice what I preach. And as much as I prize the honor to appreciate my past commitments, I really value the opportunity to do more. I'll continue to write and teach and serve on more boards where I can add value, and Stephanie will do the same. And I hope all the directors in here will make that commitment too, because I believe with NACD's powerful legacy that the directors of corporate America will carry on its traditions of professionalism and stewardship for many lifetimes to come. Thank you all very much. I appreciate the honor.